Hello friends, how are you? Hope now you completed the revision of theory part of these classes. So once again I'm back just to say welcome back to Mijo Study video classes, and today, as it is very clearly mentioned, we are going to start the problems based upon the various chapters which we till now completed. So here it is your chapter number 4, that is motion in a straight line. Fine, and we will start CBSE pattern question exercise. Fine. So what I will do, I will pick one by one various questions and then explain you. Now here the basic difference is that in CBSE pattern you are supposed to write down the answers, while in competitive exams you are supposed to solve the problem on rough and then mark the correct answer as prescribed, maybe by darkening the oval, maybe by mentioning a term, something like that. But here your handwriting is also important. What are the words you are using, that is important, and moreover important is you are within the prescribed word limits. So I am going to start, fine, and one by one I will not only discuss the problems but also tell you how you should write your answers, because this pattern, same pattern you have to follow in your board exams also. So here comes, students, your first question. Fine. Now one thing is mentioned, that is 1 mark. What is the meaning of this? Actually in your CBSE pattern of answering, there are various segments of the questions. There are few questions in the category of 1 mark question, and you are supposed to write down only one single word. Say for example, what is your name? So the answer should be XYZ. It should not be like that, my name is XYZ, not like that. Fine. Similarly, few questions will be in the 2 marks category. So there you may have to write down 4-5 words. 4-5 words. Now if I am asking, please mention your name, then you should say, sir, my name is PQRS. Okay. Then another category, 3 marks, 5 marks, 4 marks, and so on. So what I will do, I will also tell you in which particular mark category how much you should write down, because if for 1 mark question where only one simple word is required, you are writing 3-4 lines, that is merely wastage of your efforts, and that too you are going to lose your time, precious time. Fine. So here comes your first question, and as you know the topic is straight line motion. So first question is a very simple fundamental question, only one line you have, one word you have to mention. Can the speed of a body be negative? The answer you should write down in your answer sheet, that is no. Simple, no, nothing else, nothing more. Now I will elaborate you why it cannot be, but in examination hall you need not to. Fine. Now why speed of a body cannot be negative? Now students, speed is what? Speed is distance travelled in any specific time. This is the definition. Distance is travelled in any specific time, that is distance upon time. Now time cannot be negative, only Almighty can do that. So distance something, it cannot be negative, one aspect. Another aspect is distance is a scalar quantity, it is not a vector quantity. So for distance, direction is not required. Say for example, if I am saying I am moving some distance towards the camera, okay, which is in front of me, so it cannot be negative. Distance means I am moving towards the camera, that's it. So speed of a body cannot be negative, and distance also cannot be negative. Fine. So this is the way of providing the answers of these questions. The entire question paper will be classified in different segments. HOTS also, high order thinking problems. High order thinking skill, that is the word used for this, HOTS, HOTS. So these questions also they will ask in different categories. Fine. So this is your one simple starting point. And if you are writing in 1 mark question only one word, only one this term, assume how much precious time you will save for long questions. Okay, because in general physics paper was lengthy. This is the complaint of these students. Never ever lengthy, but you cannot manage your time because of that reason. So here comes the second question, that is, can position time graph have negative slope? Position time, okay. Over here, can position time graph have negative slope? It is also 1 mark question. The answer you will write down in answer sheet is yes. This is the answer. Now, because I have to explain the reason also, that is for your understanding, you need not to mention in the exam, and these all questions based upon the theory which we already provided you in the mode of various videos. Fine. So position time graph can have negative slope. Yes, very much negative slope possible. Reason being why? Reason is, if velocity is negative, then slope of position time graph can be negative. Now velocity is negative means what? Because velocity is a vector quantity. So if I am saying vector B along let us say east direction, so minus V means what? Opposite, east to opposite west. Fine. So because of that reason, now I placed both these questions together just because of the reason you can easily understand the difference. So this is your second question. Now imagine in just 20 seconds, less than 20 seconds, you can score 2 marks. 20 seconds is maximum time. Fine. Now let's move on to the question number 3. Now here very specifically I mentioned the instruction. Question 3 to 4, 2 marks. In 2 marks like that you have to write down 3-4 words. That's it, like one line. Okay. So distinguish between speed and velocity. Now you can say, sir, all these things are correlated. You started with the speed, then you came on to the velocity indirectly, and then you are correlating these two. Yes, I elaborated enough. Now you can write down at least 4-5 words. Speed is a scalar quantity while velocity is a vector quantity. Fine. So simple is, you can write down like this: speed is scalar while velocity is vector. Now let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No need to count is the like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in 5 words, the basic difference you may explain about speed and velocity. But if you are intentionally trying to waste your time, then what you will do? For velocity direction is required, for speed direction is not required, speed cannot be negative, velocity can be negative. There is no point of writing this. Moment you said speed is scalar, it means without direction, only magnitude. This is velocity is vector. Understood, it has direction. Fine. So if you start practicing like this, I am sure you will definitely able to score good marks. And this approach we want to inculcate in the minds of all of you. So that's why we decided we will pick up this task to explain you. Now here comes the question number 4. The displacement x of the body in motion is given by x is equal to a sin omega t plus theta. Determine the time at which the displacement is maximum. Now sometimes you will get trap questions. Trap questions means what? Trap question means the category of the question is for 2 marks, but your examiner will put the question in such a manner that you will be highly confused. What will happen? You will say, oh, the question is so long, it means I have to write down like 3-4 lines, which is not required. He is just putting a trap for you. What he asked, that is important. Displacement of the body given by this simple equation, fine, is given by this equation. Determine the time at which the displacement is maximum. What ultimately you are supposed to do. Just take a look of this equation. X is equal to a sine omega t plus theta. Repeatedly I taught you again and again what exactly the condition for the maximum value of sine or cos function? 1. So x will be maximum when it will be maximum, that is 1. Fine. So simple, x is maximum when sine is equal to 1. Simple. So omega t plus theta is equal to pi by 2 and omega t is equal to pi by 2 minus theta, and this all you have to do in rough. If you are perfectly preparing for your exams, you even need not to do that, but I am just telling you so that you can understand. Now from here, if I am writing pi upon 2 omega minus theta by omega, that's it. This is the time in which the displacement is maximum. So again you have to write down just 4-5 sentences. This is a mathematical relation, so more beautiful aspect. Fine. Never ever cross these word limits. Reason is simple. If on a 2-mark question you are using lot of time, then obviously you will be in great trouble. Fine. Time management is utmost important. Then students come this 5th to 6th question. Again instruction. Now why I mention these instructions? Reason is simple. Normally 60 to 70% students commit this mistake. Oh, I not read the instructions properly. This question was for this much marks. I not attempted that. So that's why make it as a habit. Read the instruction. Moment you listen like 3 marks. Okay. So at least 2 to 3 lines I'll have to write down. Fine. So this way we should start. Now find the distance travelled by the uniformly accelerated object moving in one dimension in nth second. Basically it is a derivation. Which derivation? That is, in any specific time what the distance travelled by the object. So that derivation is, if you try to recall, one relation we learned, S is equal to ut plus half at square. That is a general relation, we know that. Now this is the distance travelled in any time t. So I can put a t as a suffix. Now just before n, this t minus 1th second. Fine. So we will use this relation as st minus 1, and then we will put the value in this and we will drive this relation. So after solving, I am not wasting the time on solving this because this is something we already discussed during the discussion of the theory classes. The final result, distance travelled by any object in nth second is S nth is equal to u plus half a 2t fine. This relation you will get ultimately in nth second. So let's say 9 second, let's say 10 second, and so on. Fine. Number 6. Now, no instruction there, but already the instruction is mentioned backside. Fine. So what you can say, what are the reaction time and hang time? Explain them properly. Now this question, no mathematics involved. As such, no complicated concept of physics is involved. But if you are not reading your textbook very properly, this question you will not able to answer. The idea of asking these type of questions is simple. If any topic is given, there may be some subtopic. So the teacher, the education board, your examiner want to know, is it like that you are a keen reader? Is it like that you are reading each and every word mentioned in that particular paragraph? Thinking about that or not? Fine. So it's a logical approach type of question. And if you are not very much comfortable with your textbooks, if you are not devoting good amount of time in your textbooks, not only in school exams but even in competitive exams, you will not able to perform well. So make it as a habit also. Now let's start. This is again in 3 marks. Fine, question number 6. So ultimately 2 to 3 lines, 1.5 line for each situation. What are the reaction time? In your book, it is specifically mentioned with example. Reaction time is, let's see, a person observe any incident. Then time required by the person in watching and reacting, that is reaction time. For example, I am driving my car. Suddenly I saw someone is coming on the road in front of my car. So moment I will notice that person, I'll have to apply the brakes. Now if my reaction time is large, then I will be in great trouble. I may hit that person. So if my reaction time is quick, sharp, moment I will notice, I'll press the this brake pedal, then only I can save that. So reaction time is what? In physics, if you are observing any incident and then you are responding to that incident, that is this reaction time. And the best example is motion of car and pedestrian. By this example you can very easily understand this question. And then students, a term hang time. Hang time is, for reaction time, I think I should simply write down reaction time. Simply for you can say a reference, I will mention car and pedestrian example. Now hang time is, say for example, from the top of the Qutub Minar I jumped. Just imagine this, best rudimentary but basic example. So definitely I will take some time to reach on the ground safely. I am with a parachute, don't worry. Again I will come back with a new video. So hang time is the time taken by me after jumping. Till now I am in air, then I am touching the ground. That is the hanging time. Hanging time means in physics the object is not on the ground, the object is not upward moving. Like this it is hanging. During hanging, the most important aspect from physics point of view is G, because then the object will move with this acceleration, and this is the condition of weightlessness. Fine, this is the condition of weightlessness. So this is the idea of reaction time and hang time. In physics there are very basic things which you have to understand properly. So here comes your question number 7. Now again, instruction. 4 marks. A stone is dropped from the top of a cliff and is found to travel this much distance in last second before it reaches the ground. Find the height of the cliff. It's like that. Say for example, there is this tower, and from this tower a stone is dropped, because it is very specifically mentioned. So dropping means what? The initial velocity is 0. So v is equal to u plus gt, rather you should use v is equal to zt, because u is 0. Fine. So by this relation you can find the this particular calculation. Now in last second, so let's say the time taken by the object to reach this complete height, that is maybe h. Fine. So total height is h. What is happening? 44.1 meter in last second. Last second means if total time is t, then t minus 1th distance is 44.1 meter. That is t minus 1th distance is equal to 44.1 meter. Now because it is free fall, so acceleration due to gravity g will definitely come into picture. So what you can say, that s is equal to this relation, that is st is equal to st dt ht, whatever you want to say, u plus half a to t minus 1. So what relation that we just learned? That relation d is equal to u plus half a to t minus 1. Fine. Now this distance is how much? It is given, u is going to be 0, half a is nothing but g, and then 2t minus 1. So t is equal to 1, so that will give you 1, it will give you the distance. So velocity you can find out, and then the total height you can find out. Fine. So here you can use that total time is t is equal to 5 seconds. By this method you can get the total time. Total time means from here to here. Okay, and then if the total time is known to you, then very simple, s is equal to ut plus half a t square. S is equal to s is equal to ut plus half a t square. Now u is 0, there is no point at t put 5, solve it, you will get the distance, and the distance is going to be 122.5 meter. Now this particular concept is very important, and you can solve this problem very easily if the idea of dropping, of moving is clear. So in general, in 4 marks, it's a type of a you can say a good numerical. And what is the beautiful aspect of this numerical? If you are comfortable with your concepts, you will solve this numerical properly. So how much marks you will get? You will get 4 out of 4. But if it is a theoretical question, it may possible your teacher will only give you, say for example, 3, 2.5, something like that. But for the numerical, beauty part is solve it, full marks. Fine. So whenever you have to choose, try to pick up numericals, but be very careful. Even a minute mistake and this 4 will be converted as, so be careful about this. Fine. So this was the explanation of how you can attempt a 4-mark question, that too a numerical. One more thing, if this numerical is asked in 4 marks, please don't solve it like, okay, 44.1 t is equal to this value, this formula. No, first you should write down what is given, then draw a diagram. Teacher want that, because if you are providing the diagram, it will give the impression to the teacher that yes, the student has the proper understanding, and this is a 4-mark question. So at least 4 minutes if you are devoting, quite acceptable. So draw a diagram, write down some wordings, then solve, calculate, and use always that units also very properly. If let's say for example 122.4 meter distance, so write it 122.4 meter is the total distance, like that. Fine. Then comes this question number 8. The height y and distance x along the horizontal for a body projected in vertical plane are given by this. Y is equal to 8t minus 5t square and x is equal to 6t. What is the initial velocity of the body? Forget the question. Just I have this chalk holder. I am throwing it like this. It means it is traveling a distance along y-axis, along x-axis both. Fine, clearly given. It means this chalk holder has two velocity components, vx, vy. So initial projected velocity will be given by this method. V is equal to under root vx square plus vy square. Okay, now how to find Vx? Oh my god, very simple. From here, Vx is equal to 6. Vx means what? dx by dt, first order derivative. And for this y, it is dy by dt is equal to 8 minus 5 to the 10 t. Fine. Now solve it, put the values, you will get the relation. This question is basically testing two aspects. See the beauty of the question. This question is testing whether you have the idea of this first order, second order derivative, velocity, displacement, acceleration or not. Number one. Number two, how properly you can calculate. Is it like that you can recall these formulae? So all these 3-4 aspects where they can check using this particular question. Fine. Then comes this question number 9. Okay. Now question number 9, students, this question, if without any marking scheme, long question, then this question is in one category only, that is 5 marks. So for these type of questions, you have to devote 1.5 or 2 pages. Properly diagram, explanation, derivation, everything is required because step by step marking is followed. Let's say for example in this question, it's basically a numerical based upon the idea of vector resolution. So first fold strategy is to check the understanding of the vector resolution of the student. Number 1, a man is walking on a level road at a speed of 3 km per hour. It's like that, I am walking like this, fine, with some speed. Raindrops fall vertically. Now raindrops are falling like this, fine, in their own reference frame with some velocity. Find the velocity of the raindrops with respect to the man. Imagine this is something that you can perform, check this experiment in coming months. When July onwards rain will start in North India, you can perform this. Even if you are in South India, you can perform it right now because the monsoon already arrived there. Now if I am walking, so what will happen? Rather than this way, I feel, it is not true, I will sense, it seems to me that raindrops are coming like this. Means now the raindrops has two velocity components, downward, horizontal, vertically down, horizontally. So first thing you have to break the velocity component of this rain, fine, and then you have to solve it. The formula is VRM. What is the meaning of this? Velocity of rain with respect to man is equal to under root VR square plus Vm square, where R is what? Velocity of rain, M is what? Velocity of the man. And then easily you can break it. Resolution of vector, you know that. Obviously I will not waste your time and put the values over here, and even you can draw a diagram also, beautiful diagram, fine. Because if you will provide diagram for these type of questions, 1 extra marks you will definitely get. Mere calculation of these type of questions is simple, anyone can do that, but in 5 marks if they are asking the question, it means they want that you should complete the problem in proper manners. Here comes your question number 10. Basically I was intentionally looking just to give you this Lami's theorem revision. Lami's theorem, fine, Lami's theorem. it's a direct theorem used for these type of problems. Fine. So first I will do one thing, I will complete the diagram. Let's say this angle is gamma, this angle is 30. Fine. I definitely not mention these results so that you have to solve by yourself. And then this angle is going to be, let's say, alpha. This is one tension, let's say it is T2. This is one tension, let's say it is T1, and then this angle, let's say it is beta. So alpha, beta, gamma, there are three angles. Fine. Now this angle is 15, it is given. So 30 plus 15 is how much? 45. And for a triangle total angle is 180. So remaining angle is how much? 135. Okay. 135 plus 45, that will give you 180. Now from here I will write down just few steps, okay, and those few steps are alpha is equal to this angle of 90 plus 30. Alpha is equal to this angle of 90 plus 30. Fine. Identity equations. So alpha is equal to 19 plus 15, that will give you 105. 105. Fine. Similarly, you can find the beta. Beta is 90 plus 30. 90 plus 30. So that will give you 120. And then simply gamma is equal to 180 minus 45. Gamma means what? This plus this subtracted from 180, because this total angle is going to be 180. After getting these angle values very easily, now I will use Lami's theorem. Fine. And the Lami's theorem, in this equation you will write down like this: T1 upon sin alpha, T2 upon sin beta, W upon sin gamma. Simple. The idea is simple. You should be very comfortable with these basic results, and Lami's theorem is that one basic result. Obviously, you have to write down this entire expression in your answer sheet, then you will have to solve and put the values. That obviously, due to the time limit, I can't do in this particular video class. Fine. So students, this was the, you can say, a small video with 10 questions where I simply tried my best to give you the exact actual feeling of examination hall. Fine. Their number of questions will be more, here they are less. So I think we should stop with this positive note that you will not only try to solve these problems but also will try to follow my simple suggestions. So take care of yourself, keep revising the concepts. Very soon I'll be back. Till then, thanks a lot.